This is Gary Walkenut, and I would like to invite you to an African evening featuring the Mully children's family from Kenya, Africa. They will appear in Sydney at the Montcalm Community College Gym Friday, April 29th at 7 p.m. You'll experience traditional African singers, dancers, drummers, and acrobats. Last year, my wife and I were seeking an opportunity to help educate disadvantaged children in Africa. We heard about the Mully children's family. We applied and spent 2 months working with the students. When we heard their touring group would be visiting the U.S., we asked them to come and share their program for the Montcalm County area. We've prepared this DVD to introduce you to the remarkable achievements and successes of the Mully children's family. Let us tell you about this amazing orphanage that has produced these world-class performers. When we arrived in Kenya, we had a preconceived idea that we would just be volunteering in an orphanage for homeless children. We were surprised to discover that the Mully children's family has a much bigger vision. It's not just providing care for these disadvantaged children. It is truly rehabilitating them, changing their lives. Through this process, MCF hopes to create future citizens who will solve Kenya's problems rather than contributing to them. The Mully children's family has graduated 7,000 students over the past 20 years. There are a total of 7 MCF programs in Kenya serving 2,030 children. These children range in age from 2-month-old infants to young adults in their early 20s. They've come from a wide variety of backgrounds. Some have a history as street children with drug problems and criminal involvement. Others come from abuse and neglect in dysfunctional families. Some have lost their mothers and fathers through political violence, or their parents have died from AIDS-related illness. Those with physical and emotional disabilities are also present, along with mothers in their early teens with their babies. We were volunteering at the Delani program. This is a residential program that provides rehabilitation for children 2 years old through high school. There are 750 students in this program, and they are a remarkable success story. 75% of them are eligible for Kenya's universities upon graduation. Others enter MCF's vocational programs. There's strong incentive for academic investment. 50% unemployment in Kenya means that a good education is mandatory if a student desires employment after graduation. One young man told his peers he expects them to vote for him in 2030, when he's eligible to run for Kenya's presidency. We think that you will be deeply moved and pleased by the capacity of these children to live and work with each other. Collaboration and compromise seem to be organic within them, and group accomplishment seems more important than individual success. It is our opinion that this lack of self-orientation leads to the unbelievable level of happiness and joy we experience in these young people. They also demonstrate an amazing ability to accept and forgive unexpected qualities, given their past histories. They are truly leaving behind their pasts and moving positively toward their futures. There's a 50% unemployment rate in Kenya, and these students realize that education will be an absolute necessity for gaining meaningful employment in such a difficult work environment. Their investment is measured by their extremely high rate of academic success. Over 75% of them qualify for Kenya's universities after high school graduation, and their scores are some of the highest in their nation. The director and founder of this exciting breath of fresh air for Kenya and these children is Dr. Charles Mully. He knows what it's like to be homeless. At the age of 6, he woke up one morning to discover that his family had abandoned him. And he spent the rest of his youth begging for food and sleeping wherever he could find someone to accept him. But he had a strong drive to achieve, and he combined it with a brilliant and expansive mind. Eventually, he would be recognized as one of Kenya's best businessmen, a successful achievement that usually evades the disadvantaged people of our world. Enjoying the luxury of his efforts, a chance encounter with some street boys caused him to begin using his skills not for his own comfort, but for those less fortunate. After they stole his beautiful new Mercedes, he realized he needed to show these boys how to follow his path to success, and he sold all his businesses and began taking these disadvantaged street children into his family and his home. Knowing he would have to feed them, this entrepreneur started raising food. His garden for his growing family quickly expanded, and today, some 20 years later, it is a model of organic agriculture that feeds the 2,030 children served by the Mully Children's family. And sales of the remaining produce provide 50% of the funds necessary to run the Mully Children's family. Yes, indeed. MCF is truly an important success story in our world with its continuing problems. But there's more to this picture than providing food for the children. Labor for raising the produce is provided by the disadvantaged parents and adults in the community. Successful employment keeps the families together and removes this major cause of homeless children. In addition, MCF recognizes the need to keep its workforce healthy. The workers are provided with free health care and sent home with a share of the day's produce to feed their families. MCF founder and director Charles Mully has been watching the changes that have been occurring in his country for half a century. He has witnessed the change in the weather patterns and the creation of a deteriorating environment. He has become a strong believer in the dangers associated with climate change, and he also recognizes that much of his country's environmental problems come from the deforestation of the land. His concern is very appropriate, as Kenya recently emerged from a very severe drought. Without the yearly rains, water totally disappeared from the Thika River. This tributary runs through the Delani branch of MCF and is an important life source for this region of Kenya. To remedy this problem, he encouraged his students to plant and care for trees. One of the most exciting events we witnessed during our 2-month visit to MCF was the watering of newly planted trees. Twice a week, more than 100 of the children would head toward the plantation with 5-gallon buckets. Seeing the joy and enthusiasm these kids brought to rehabilitating the land touched us deeply. They were genuinely proud of what they were doing for Kenya's future. This year, the spring rains ended early in February, and when we arrived in October, they had still not seen any rain. When the rains began in November, we, the Westerners, were quick to complain about the horrible mud on our shoes and students not showing up for their lessons because of the sudden and severe downpours. However, our hosts soon oriented us to nature's blessings, and we humbly supported their prayers of thanksgiving for the life-giving rain. This fall, hoping to increase climate change awareness and continue the reforestation, MCF invited Kenyan university students to help them plant trees. 500 of these university students joined with MCF students for a day of tree planting. Their efforts planted 3,500 trees. The MCF students thanked their university guests by treating them to a true Kenyan banquet. White cloths graced tables placed under the shade of the trees on the bank of the beautiful Thika River. And the MCF children served them traditional Kenyan food they prepared the day before. But that was just the start. The MCF students pulled out all the stops by sharing their world-class entertainment. The program started with the encompassing energy of a young MCF drummer as he introduced the rhythms for the African dance troupe. That was followed by traditional harmonies of native song from the choir. But as far as the university students were concerned, the MCF acrobats stole the show with their amazing display of group coordination as they threw themselves into the air with a variety of unbelievable twists and turns and created human pyramids 4 persons high. Yes, some of these children are extremely gifted and talented, but there are many more who have gained their expertise through hard work and their enjoyment of their daily communal sharing with each other in these activities. 5 a.m. is a common rehearsal time for the various groups, and they often return for further learning and group sharing after their academic classes conclude in the late afternoon. We hope you will join us on Friday, April 29th in the Montcalm Community College Gym at 7 p.m. for an African evening featuring the Mully Children's Family singers, dancers, drummers, and acrobats. You will find the program to be breathtaking, exciting, and inspiring. Yes, come and meet these future leaders of Kenya, Africa. Discover what the Mully Children's Family is all about. Proceeds from ticket sales go to support the Mully Children's Family Education Fund and future programs presented by the Greenville Community Center. Tickets are available at the door or can be purchased from the Greenville Community Center. 616-754-9163.